Hello everyone. Today's story is about Tieu Ca, a brave young woman from the mountains, who faces the challenges of pregnancy and raising her daughter alone. Despite hardships, she never gives up on love. Hung, a successful CEO, loves her deeply but faces opposition from his father, Mr. Peter Nguyen. After much struggle, Mr. Peter realizes his mistake and finally supports their relationship. Thanks to his help, Tieu Ca and Hung reunite, build a loving family, and celebrate a heartfelt wedding filled with warmth and forgiveness. Their journey shows that true love can overcome all obstacles. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring tales. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching. Nestled at the foot of a misty mountain, in a small weathered roof house, Tieu Ca lived a quiet and resilient life with her little daughter, Han, and her unborn second child still growing peacefully in her womb. Life for the three of them was simple yet harsh. No phone rang, no messages arrived, only the rustling wind in the forest and the chirping of baby chicks in the yard greeted them each morning. She had grown used to waking alone, tending to every little task, from farming and harvesting vegetables to raising Han, who had bright eyes and a heart as pure as the morning sun. Yet, no matter how busy life became, there remained a silent space in Tieu Ca's heart, where memories of Hung were kept tenderly. He was the man who once stirred her soul, who had made her feel truly loved. He had once come into her life, gently placing the very first mobile phone into her hands, buying comic books for Han, and speaking of building a life together. But that love had not been blessed by fate. Because of class, status, and most painfully, the disapproval of his father, Mr. Peter Nguyen, Tieu Ca and Hung were forced to part ways, even as she carried his second child. The phone he had given her still sat quietly on the wooden table, covered in a fine layer of dust, much like the silence that had fallen between them. No texts, no calls, no replies. Every time she picked it up, her heart would ache, not from anger, but from longing. She missed his resolute eyes when he said he would never leave her. Missed his hand holding hers on a rainy afternoon. Missed the warmth in his voice as he promised to overcome it all, if only she believed. And maybe, deep inside, her belief was what kept her going. She continued bringing vegetables to the market. She carefully saved every coin so that Han could keep attending the school Hung had once arranged. Little Han remained cheerful and talkative, happily recounting her school days, her kind teacher, and her new friends in the nearby town. Watching her daughter grow each day with innocent laughter and shining eyes, Tieu Ca felt even more determined. She knew she wasn't allowed to break, not now, not ever. Even without Hung by her side, the small gifts he left behind still lingered like living memories, fragments of love that gave her strength to face the loneliness. At night, when Han had fallen asleep, Tieu Ca often sat by the window, gently cradling her belly, whispering his name, not aloud, just in her heart. Somewhere out there, perhaps Hung was also thinking of her. Perhaps he too yearned for the day he could hold her and their children once again. Life in the mountains was far from easy, but never once did Tieu Ca feel regret. She understood that true love doesn't need grand promises. As long as one believes, love will endure. Even in poverty, even separated by class or prejudice, hearts that beat sincerely will always find their way back to each other. For Tieu Ca, love didn't need many words. Each morning that began with Han's innocent smile, each time she felt her baby stir inside, those were enough reasons for her to keep hoping. Whatever tomorrow held, today she would continue to love, continue to wait, with the patience and strength of a woman who had once given her entire heart. In a distant place, where tall buildings crowded the sky and the pace of work never ceased, Han quietly carried the image of Tieu Ca and their unborn child deep in his heart. He threw himself into work day after day, as if trying to fill the emptiness inside. But nothing could erase the longing for the girl who once stirred his soul so deeply. His father, Mr. Peter Nguyen, an experienced, strict man who valued family honor greatly, had strongly opposed the relationship between him and Tieu Ca. To him, a poor mountain girl working as a farmer was unworthy of his son's status and future as the heir to a large corporation. He was the one who built the wall separating these two loving hearts. But Hung was not what his father expected. He refused to give up easily. Despite being forbidden and unable to contact Tieu Ca, he persevered in trying to reconnect. He secretly sent gifts, tried to ask acquaintances to visit the mountain village to check on her and their child. But everything seemed to vanish into thin air. The silence from Tieu Ca's side weighed heavily on his heart, not out of blame, but worry. Was she well? Had the baby been born? Was she sad? One winter night, while sitting in his office surrounded by paperwork, Mr. Peter Nguyen happened to see an old photo, a picture of Tieu Ca and little Han visiting the company. Han's bright eyes and tiny hands holding her mother's hand, and Hung's gaze at Tieu Ca in the photo was not that of a lost man but of someone who had found his entire world. Mr. Peter was speechless. For months, he had watched his son live like a shadow, responsible but joyless. Hung no longer smiled as much, nor showed the passion for projects that Mr. Peter had hoped for. He began to realize that it was his own outdated prejudices that had cost him the chance to see his son happy. Then one morning, Mr. Peter drove himself to the mountain village where Tieu Ca lived. No bodyguards, no secretaries, no arrogance of a boss, just a father carrying an apology. When the car stopped in front of the small market, he saw the girl he once coldly rejected, quietly arranging bundles of vegetables, her pregnant belly large and sweat soaking her shoulders. Tieu Ca, he spoke, his voice low but sincere. I came to apologize. Those words stopped Tieu Ca in her tracks. She looked up, surprised. Mr. Peter continued slowly and emotionally. I was wrong. I was too conservative. My son's happiness is not in status or fame, but in where his heart belongs. He handed her a business card. On it was Hung's address and phone number, he who still waited every day for her return. Tieu Ca was choked up, tears silently falling. That small card weighed as heavily as the many months she had silently endured and waited. It was not just information, but a bridge to reunite a family, to give their love a second chance. With the business card in her trembling hands and tears still glistening in her eyes, Tieu Ca felt a mixture of hope and nervous excitement. After months of uncertainty and quiet suffering, the possibility of reuniting with Hung and their children began to feel real again. She carefully saved every penny she had, preparing for the journey that would bring her and Han back into Hung's life. When the day finally came, the reunion was far from the dramatic scenes one might expect. It was quiet, gentle, and full of unspoken emotions. Hung stood waiting with open arms and an earnest smile. His eyes sparkled with relief and love as he saw Tieu Ca, carrying the promise of their unborn child. The two children, Han and the baby still in her womb, became the precious threads weaving their hearts closer. The reunion was not the start of a fairy tale. The challenges they faced were many. Tieu Ca and Hung came from different worlds, she, a humble woman from the mountain, and he, the son of a wealthy businessman. Prejudices and social barriers had not simply disappeared overnight. Yet, with the support of Mr. Peter Nguyen, who had publicly acknowledged his mistake and openly welcomed Tieu Ca into the family, the couple found strength to move forward. Mr. Peter's transformation was more than just words. He actively helped the young family find stability, offering resources and emotional support that Tieu Ca had never known. He saw in her the resilience and love that matched the highest standards of any family. His acceptance was a powerful symbol, not only for the couple but for everyone who had doubted their love. As the months passed, the family's bond grew stronger. Hung was no longer the man weighed down by expectations and family pressure. Instead, he blossomed into a devoted partner and father, one who proudly stood by Tieu Ca's side and embraced his children with open arms. Tieu Ca, once a solitary figure struggling in the mountains, found a sense of belonging and security she had only dreamed of. This new chapter culminated in a wedding that was the perfect reflection of their journey, a simple, heartfelt celebration on a small farm just outside the city. Unlike the grand, lavish events typical in the business world, their wedding was filled with warmth, sincerity, and love. The farm was adorned with wildflowers and soft paper lanterns, casting a gentle glow as evening fell. The air was filled with soft melodies that made everyone feel at ease and joyful. Mr. Peter Nguyen, the very man who had once opposed their relationship, now proudly officiated the ceremony. His eyes shone with happiness as he gave his blessing, witnessing the union of his son and the woman who had shown such courage and grace. Family and close friends gathered, sharing smiles and heartfelt wishes, embracing Tieu Ca as one of their own. Tieu Ca appeared radiant in a simple white dress that perfectly captured her gentle elegance. Han, dressed as a little princess, ran happily around her mother, her laughter bright and infectious. Hung stood at the altar, looking every bit the devoted groom, his gaze fixed tenderly on Tieu Ca as she walked toward him. When they exchanged vows, their voices trembled with emotion. "Happiness used to seem impossible," Hung said softly, "but you showed me that love can overcome all difficulties." I promise to love and protect you and our children forever." Tieu Ca's eyes welled with tears as she replied, "I never thought I could be this happy, but you came and proved that love is worth fighting for." The simple rings they exchanged symbolized a lifetime of commitment, faithfulness, and the triumph of love over adversity. The guests applauded warmly, celebrating not just a wedding, but a victory of hope and perseverance. The evening continued with laughter, delicious food, and heartfelt conversations. Little Han was showered with affection, her joyous spirit reflecting the happiness that had blossomed between her parents. Even Kay, the man who once might have felt jealousy, joined the celebration with a sincere smile, acknowledging that the happiness of those he cared about was what truly mattered. Mr. Peter's speech was brief but powerful. He expressed his regret for the past, praised Tieu Ca's determination, and promised to love and support her like his own daughter. His words touched everyone present and marked the beginning of a new chapter filled with acceptance and love. As night fell, the newlyweds held hands and gazed at the sparkling lights of the farm. Though challenges awaited them, their hearts were filled with hope and unity. Together, they would build a family grounded in love, resilience, and understanding. This humble but beautiful wedding was more than a ceremony. It was a testament to the power of love, forgiveness, and the courage to overcome all obstacles. It was the beginning of a lifetime of happiness for Tieu Ca, Hung, and their children.